Let us start. Good afternoon to all of you. Good day to all of you. Greetings to all of you. I'm Mr. Zapata. I'm working with the Fisheries Fund. It's a pleasure for me to be here and welcome you. We made an effort to work together and to secure resources to talk about artisanal fishery. Before beginning on the substantial part of our presentation, I would like to give you a few technical notes. First of all, this seminar, as you saw, is being recorded. So we can share this meeting with other people who weren't able to join us. We have colleagues monitoring the chat, not only with Facebook, but also live. And so you can use those two means to contact each other, make comments, and ask questions. And if we can't answer the questions now, then we can answer them later on the chat. And to our speakers, I would like to tell them that we would like to make sure that we will be able to have time to answer questions. And so I would like to be as strict as possible with respect to the time used for the presentation, 7 minutes at the most. And so please respect the time, and so that we can take advantage of the time that's available to us. And finally, we have simultaneous interpreting in French, English, Spanish, and English. And so the main language of the event, however, is in Spanish. But if you prefer another language, please do click on the option that you have in the lower part of your screen. It's sort of like a circle, and you can choose the language that you prefer. We have two speakers who will be speaking in Portuguese, and those who wish to listen to the Spanish, you listen to the Spanish option to listen to the translation into Spanish. So you can listen to the interpreting. In a few minutes, Nicolas Hernandez will speak about his organization. So I would like to speak quickly about that. Self-help is a center for cooperation and resources for fisheries that are artisanal. We collaborate and exchange resources with respect to fishing. We would like to facilitate the creation of a global community of those who are interested in artisanal fisheries. If you wish to take part of this effort, we are available on internet, and we will give you a link to be able to join us. And we have recently created a Facebook group as well, which is broadcasting this event live. Our organization acts as the secretariat of the Safe Hub. We are one of many, so we would like to emphasize that we are collaborating with many organizations, and they are here with us now today. And this is a collaborative effort amongst the many people. So without further ado, it's a major pleasure for me to give the floor to Mr. Hernandez, who's the Latin American Network of Artisanal Fisheries. Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you to all those who are here. Good afternoon. This is the situation that we now find ourselves. In terms of small-scale fishery, it's a luxury for us to have you here with us on this webinar, where we intend to give you a bit more to include in your knowledge about our initiative to help us trace to continue defending for small-scale fisheries. The Ibero-American of small-scale In 2022, we started in Cadiz, Spain. First thing that we notice in climate change are those who are living and experiencing this very closely, very close to the coastline, where we note this climate change very clearly. And the small-scale fishery are even more quickly involved, and we are the ones who can provide food to the population. The word small-scale fishery is not very pretty, for example, but it talks about the work, the hard work that is done at a small scale, which is genuine, and the very great amount of care that is put into capturing our products. And our product is not simply fishing, it's how we handle the fish, how we can look for the best marketing possibilities for the fish. And we confront this very well. Oftentimes, we lose our fishing areas because there's pressure from outside and powerful interest groups that are pressuring us, and we suffer from insecurity. And we have a difficult situation to recognize the role of women in the fisheries. There are many difficulties to recognize and to be able to support the young people and to integrate them in this precious activity, which is called small-scale fisheries. We have to defend, and we're not victims. We have to suffer banditry and piracy that comes from the solitude that we experience, and those who look for interests that are not very clear. And so it is clear that we have an important mission. We have to put in value the heritage that we common in our work. That is why we want to have a strong voice in the world amongst international authorities, so that we can be listened to, so that people pay attention to what we have to say. Because there are so many problems that we have to deal with. And we have many challenges that we have to tackle. It's not simply listening to me, but to listen to the different workers, different colleagues of our Ibero-American network, so that we can listen to each other, that we can benefit from what they're doing. And I would like to have a very good conclusion from the work that we're doing. As chair of the network, we wish to do our best to have project cooperation lines, and we know that we have certain congresspersons that are connected in this part of the world, and we truly need these cooperation projects so that we can continue advancing and working together, and to help the society that we are trying to defend, and to defend our livelihood. Thank you, Pedro. Thank all of you. Thank you for the hall, and to all of those who are listening to. Thank you, Nicholas. It's not a small matter It accounts for 40% of
9 of every 10 fishermen work in artisanal fishing, and over 6 million people work in artisanal fishing, which contributes to feeding millions of people around the world. In order to discuss this, we have a selected number of persons representing several representatives from Portugal, Chile, Brazil, Ecuador, and Mexico. And I am certain that they are here, that you are all here to listen to them and what they have to say. So let's start with
Ugo, you have the
Hugo.
floor. Ugo, are you there? So you can take the floor. Hello, Hugo. Let me say something. The former president of the fishers of Quarteira in the southern part of Portugal. And that is a comprehensive part of the Portuguese non-official entity, since last year, member of the board of directors of the association. It's a pleasure to have you here with us. You have the floor. Although I don't speak that well Spanish, I will speak to me in Portuguese. I will speak to you in Portuguese.
This is a huge leap in our support to artisanal fishing to be a part of this event. We have evolved more than we could have thought, and we face problems like shortage in labor, inequality between men and women, and there's several struggles in Portugal in the labor area. And here, artisanal fishing has a very important economic and social role, but also the small boats working with primitive instruments from the time of our grandparents. I do find it a very important part of our culture. And we also have some difficulties in managing our resources because they're becoming more and more scarce. We, in Portugal and in Spain, we see that industrial scale fishing is becoming predominant. It is difficult for us to please everyone, and people, they want to work, and they don't understand some of the magnitude of the problems. And so now, with the creation of this network, I believe shifting the paradigm in the global perspective. I believe this is a huge leap, the formation of this network, and this ensures us the rights to fight for our right, and that artisanal fishing is sustainable and will have a future, and we can work together with the scientific community, with environmentalists. Things will not go back to the way they used to be in the past. We are talking about a shift in paradigm, but not everyone loses, not everyone wins. The idea is everyone contributing a little so that things will work better. I have to say a few words about what's happening in my country now in terms of partnerships with scientists and environmentalists. In the north part of the country, of our shore, things have evolved. We already see some results. in my region, we are trying to implement a project for people's fishery. It's a much bigger project in terms of scale, and there's many more licensed boats that have to be included. And I am hopeful that with Natureza Association from Portugal working with us will help us have a better management and better results with the renewed efforts of everyone. We know there's problems we have to work on and correct, and we're working to this end. A federation to be in charge of the communication with all the regions of the country, I believe this would play an important role. We are now discussing maritime space. There's huge efforts to identify the areas from north to south of the country, and what's happening today is a disaster for us artisanal fishermen. And we do believe there's room for everyone to work, but that takes dialogue, and we have to work in partnerships with the fishery community, with environmentalists, and with everyone participating. We believe that's the way to go. I know my time is short, and one thing that I didn't say in the beginning is this opportunity to convey our opinion together with those from South America. I am confident. I do believe that we face very similar problems, and of course, with some specific issues pertaining to each of the countries. But I believe that in Africa and in South America, we will learn here that we face the same problems, and that's why this moment here is so important. I think it is important that I mentioned to you our project in Portugal called Costão that has already taken off. And once we are able to bring our suggestions to the government, we know that we have done more than half of our job. And together with Spain and with every country, we will be working together to convince people that artisanal fishery does have a future, does play a role in the future. We just have to keep doing what we're doing now. Thank you. Yes, it does have.
We have a video from Spain that we will be showing you now. Thank you so much for your presentation. Let us go to the video now. Good afternoon. I'm president of the Federation of Fisheries in Spain. It's a pleasure for me to be able to participate in this webinar with you. And dear colleagues, I believe that our commitment to small-scale fisheries have to ensure the sociability to have an environmentally friendly and sustainable effort. It has to include fishing policies that respect the legal framework and to make sure that our organization becomes vital for the national government. And with the government, we will become further more strong and more resilient. And we need to be able to brand our products to distinguish it and differentiate from industrial and large-scale fishing, and to add value to our product and differentiate them from large-scale brands. And this branding has helped our fishermen to give greater value to our fish and to our products. So I would like to communicate and convey to you my greetings. Thank you so much, dear colleagues. Excellent. Thank you, Manuela, for this video that you sent us. And now it is a pleasure for me to give the floor to Zoila Bustamante from Chile. Zoila Bustamante Cardenas is assistant of the chair of CONAPACH, which is small-scale fisheries cooperation, which is the major representative of small-scale fisheries in the country. Since 2010, she has worked as the council person for fisheries and represents her sector with different national and international organizations. It's a pleasure for me to listen to her. Zoila, you have the floor. Thank you. Hello, good afternoon to all my colleagues. I am the chair of the Latin American Union of Small-Scale Fisheries, and it is a matter of pride for me to participate as a country, but also as a small-scale fisher person. I would like to speak of women in fisheries. It's not a very good subject for me because the Federation has both women and men. And though I'd like to talk about the role of women in this sector, and had it always been on the basis of work, and women participate as workers, and we don't differentiate. So we do the same work, and we are equal to the men in terms of our work. But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that the path that we have taken has been easy. No, on the contrary, it's been a difficult road that we've taken. And we had to set up organizations. We had to establish links at the national and international level. All of the women were also in the sea are working together. We don't have our gender quota, but we work together with everybody to bring the benefits that we don't have. I listened to our colleague Hugo, and I've said that there are fishing women throughout the world, and we all have the same problems. And these problems is why we work together. And that is why we work together. There are many things we have an opportunity now that we have to take advantage of. And we know that the next week there will be a meeting in New York where we will talk about the protected areas. And one of the major problems that we have today is that oftentimes the protected areas prevent us from working, and small-scale fisheries cannot enter protected areas. And so if that is going to be the way, we shall not support that organization that prevents us from fishing. I would like also to say that joint work has to be done jointly. We can't work separately. If we work individually, it will not get anywhere. We always have worked together throughout our lives in the coastline, in the sea.
I think we have to carry out joint efforts, including NGOs. We have to work together so that they don't displace us from our spaces. I think this is, as Chilean citizens and for Latin America, it's very complex, and we need everyone's support. We understand that it's okay to try to preserve and our work and have a backup, but we also create that backup. We don't need to be taken out of our spaces. Another point is that they cannot remove us from our fisheries. We have been working there, and we work on shark fishing, for example, and we're very concerned. We're very worried about it because RIPAPE needs to have this, take this into account, and the Latin American Union also needs to be aware of everything that concerns us. We have common issues and we need to join forces. and the support needs to be common. We cannot work individually, every man for themselves. So that's my message for you today. And I'd like to thank you again for the invitation. We are today in Ecuador. And we had a fantastic welcome here. Yesterday, we had a meeting of artisanal fishing in ORP in Ecuador, and we are trying to work together and find ways of how to overcome what's happening behind the scenes and what's happening without the knowledge of artisanal fishermen. So we need to work together. Thank you very much. I remain at your disposal for any questions you might have. Thank you very much, Zoila. And I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm not sure what is happening, but please know that we are trying to identify the problem of these intrusions here. I'm very sorry that they have interrupted you. On behalf of the organizers, we apologize. It's okay, don't worry about it. We understand that in this type of meetings, even in face-to-face meetings, we are exposed to this type of attacks. And as good fishermen and fisherwomen, we are ready for that. Thank you. Thank you very much, Zoila. Now I would like to give the floor to our colleague in Argentina through a video. But before we move on to the video, I'd like to let you know that our dear Nestor recorded this video from the beach where all the fishing activity happened. So we had a little bit of wind. We tried to fix the video sound, but the sound is going to be a little bit windy, and we apologize for that. My name is Nestor Roche from Argentina. I'm the president of the Argentinian Union of Artisanal Fishermen. Our organization gathers entities of artisanal fishing from Uruguay and other areas of Latin America, of over 4,000 kilometers long in the coast. And we are convinced that our network of artisanal fishing will give a new value to the fishing sector. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think Nestor is here too. So thank you for sending this video. Now we have the pleasure of listening to our Brazilian colleague, Jose Alberto de Lima Ribeiro. Alberto has been a fisherman since he was 13 years old. He has 3 children, and he comes from a traditional family of fishing, a fishing family. He's a native and resident of Praia do Canto Verde Extractive Reserve, Beberibe, in the state of Ceará. He is the vice coordinator of Confirm in Brazil. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity that you have given Brazil.
Thank you very much.
The collaboration that we've had with other colleagues in other parts of the world. We would like to send you a big hug, fraternal hug,
and our colleague who had Fabio
and send some strength to one of our colleagues who had
a health
some
issue,
health issues
and he wasn't
couldn't
able
be
to
here.
join us.
But he's already at home,
he's
and he's
now
recovering.
back
so
from the hospital.
We continue
he's at home, and we keep on.
COFREA is an institution that acts from
Confrem is an institution
that
working
from
since
2007,
and it
In Brazil, on the coastal area of Brazil, we have over 8,000 kilometers of coastal territory. And normally we have communities that work with our organization.
So there's no way of other than the network.
And this is their
way.
livelihood.
So the way
Fishing
we
is
are
their
organizing
livelihood.
ourselves in
So
Brazil,
in Brazil, we have been getting
this is the
organized,
ideal way. In
and we have been
Latin
collaborating with
America.
other organizations in Latin America, the Caribbean, and at an international level.
Just because in the
defend
defense of
artisanal fishing, to defend the
artisanal
rights of
fishery,
fishermen.
it goes
And I think
small
we
scale
share
fishery.
common
It goes
issues. We
beyond
have the
just
same
countries,
problems
individual
as they do
countries.
in other countries.
Regardless of problems, as
As our colleague
Portuguese
from
colleague
Portugal
mentioned,
said,
the
we share
issue
the
of
same
the
problems.
wind parks
And we
and
are
in
offering
the sea. And we are suffering with this invasion in our
this
territory.
support.
We've been suffering with wind farms on land and now on our territory. So the problems are very similar.
And
the
we are
same way
trying to
are the
meet
needs
the needs of the people. And we're looking
of
for
us
alternatives.
searching for local alternatives,
and
national
national and international
alternatives.
alternatives, so that the communities can guarantee the rights to their territory and their livelihood, that they can continue contributing, of making this important contribution to the communities in Brazil. Today, over 70% of the products from fishing, over 70% of the food that Brazilians consume come from fishing, from artisanal fishing. So that shows you how important this is for the communities and people. And apart from that, they bring food sovereignty to the country. But we face many challenges on how the communities are acting together to defend artisanal fishing. How, as a network, how can we work together? And we have been working on we are trying to use technologies better. We are trying to get organized in a better way so that we can strengthen
with the possibility of continuing fishing and continue to improve their income. We know that there is a strong challenge associated to this, and we in Brazil and all over the world, for us to be seen the way we should be seen as fishermen and fisherwomen in our traditional communities, because the pandemic also showed us here in Brazil that other people, when people didn't experience hunger, was in the traditional communities where we were able to contribute. So then in the cities also and around us, of sharing of our fishing product. So that shows the importance of the small scale fisheries and artisanal fishing. And my time is short. I just would like to highlight my time of fight of experience. I started when I was a child with my parents and with the movement, the historical movement in Brazil, and I'm still part of this movement and of Confrem. So the importance of being really organized in a network. There's no other way for us to be exchanging experiences and exchanging this positive energy for us to be able to support each other and to give the support also to the communities around us. So one of the projects that we have developed here in the community was one a boat, and that boat came from Portugal, a sailboat, so that we call catamaran here, that was built by a Portuguese person who came to Brazil a while ago. And now we have some of those types of vessels that are here on our coast, and they are working and helping the artisanal fishing activity. And that shows the importance of this net organization in a network. So then we can really exchange technologies, exchange experiences, and even in certain moments, we can gather forces to really fight against some projects that are a threat to us. For example, the uncontrolled tourism and other things. And finally, we work for the development, but we want a sustainable development in which people and traditional communities, they are at the forefront of this development. And if people are improving their quality of lives, that it should be all of us, not just a small portion of society. And so we want that to be for everyone, this development for everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm sorry for the interruption. But thank you very much.
And thank you very much for that example that you gave of the participation and collaboration, transatlantic collaboration in the form of a vessel or a catamaran. So I would love to hear more about that later on. So thank you very much for that. Now we have another video from Ecuador of Jose Conforme, who is here with us. Thank you very much. Good morning, colleagues. It is a pleasure to greet you from here, from San Mateo's fishery, where we have problems and challenges every day. We have a security problem. Our engines are being stolen and they're damaged. They are full of sand. And we have a problem with the commercialization of our products. Those are some of the problems and the issues we have. Some pirate fishing groups are really damaging our work. And this is turning into a financial crisis that is really damaging our activity. So this meeting is very important for us. Thank you very much. Now, I'd like to introduce Gabriela Cruz from Ecuador, who is a leader and representative of FENACOPEC, a National Federation of Artisanal Fishing in Ecuador. She has over 20 years of experience in this organization. She is a graduate of political sciences, and she has led several activities that have benefited the artisanal fishing activity in her country. Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to tell you that we are part of the network. And together we want to strengthen all the activities that we're carrying out in Ecuador so that we can reduce global warming. To this end, one of our missions is to collect all the plastic from the mangroves, because in Ecuador, as is ranked number 3 with the biggest mangroves in the world, and that attracts a lot of plastic. So we have over 5,000 people working on the collection of plastic in the mangroves. So we are working really hard on that. We are very worried about the plastic waste, and it affects our shellfish because these are the sources of shellfish, and the plastic is really damaging that, causing economic and social issues. So we're working really hard for that, looking for support to see who can help us control this situation. And this is what we're doing in our province. Another activity that we are working on in our country, or a challenge that we have, is the lack of control over the seas and the instability. Illegal fishing is a big problem, it's a big issue, and every day we are losing territory because in my country, and I feel very sad to say so, there's a lot of pirates and delinquency, as we call it, in the ocean. There are no regulations. And, what are we doing about that? So we are working with the government, and we're trying to expel the current government, the current administration, because we are getting no support from them. And we're also trying to work with the youth, with young fishermen, so that they don't get involved in drug trafficking. Because when you have nothing to do or no means to survive, people look for other ways, and they start getting into illegal activities such as drug trafficking because there are no other sources of work. So our project and our vision is to strengthen our products, because we are very rich in terms of production, and we would like to find other ways to export our products and everything we extract from the ocean. So we're trying to create our own production plant to give it another value. And for that, we need to train our communities. We need to educate them. And no matter how many problems we face, I think we need to keep working on that. We need to keep improving our activity to be able to feed our Ecuadorian citizens. And we have to remember also that a portion of our fishing produce goes to the export, is exported. So I think we all have the same issues or similar ones. And sometimes we spend a lot of money on consultants, external consultants, and I think it's better to invest that money in productive projects, capacity building and training for our fishermen. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Gabriela. You made me think about many important things. It was a pleasure to hear your experience. Now we have a video from Felix Paz. Thank you for this opportunity. Hello to all of you. In Honduras, since October last year until now, we've had many problems with the prices. Prices are very low. We were hoping for an increase in prices, but that has not happened yet. And we're still seeing the same low prices, which is affecting our livelihood. Easter is coming soon. We're getting closer to Easter, and I don't see the prices going up. There is no control from those who are taking advantage of artisanal fishermen. So even if we have a good day and we manage to fish enough, that doesn't help if the prices are so low. Thank you very much for that video, Felix, about the prices. Thank you very much. Now we are going to my country, Mexico. And we're going to hear from Jose Flores. Jose is the secretary of the Confederation of Cooperative of Baja California. And he is a representative of the president of CONECOP, Jose Luis Carrillo. Jose, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much, Pedro. Thank you. It's a pleasure to see the RIPAPE team, because we're all part of the RIPAPE. Jose Luis Carrillo, our president, had a problem today, another commitment, and unfortunately he couldn't be here today, but he sends his greetings and he's always following our news and what's happening in Mexico. I am the surveillance team president, and so he allowed me to speak on his behalf. In Mexico, we have many problems, many issues, and it is very positive to hear other people's experiences from other countries. But in Mexico, we also have similar issues such as security, pirates, illegal activities in the sea, and the preservation of resources, which is a very important topic because we have been one of the promoters of the preservation and create tools to guarantee sustainability of produce in our seas and a better use. And I agree with Zoila on what she said earlier, that we have to be careful with some NGOs who are very aggressive. And I'd like to say that in Mexico, we are promoters of preservation, and we're very interested in creating tools that can help preserve our livelihood. Could be like a refuge protected areas or protected fishing areas. I think we really need to make our seas more productive. We need to take care of them and take care of our place of work, which is the ocean, the sea. And the only way to do that is to create these models of preservation. We cannot keep abusing the ocean because it is not an unlimited resource and we are reaching a breaking point. So we need to be careful and raise awareness on the fact that we need to improve the way we carry out our activities. I was not very prepared for this, I'm sorry, but I'm very interested to know your experiences, and we're here for any questions. Thank you so much. And thank you for jumping in on short notice. I'm sure that we will have more time to talk. So now we're going to move on to the last video. But before that, I would like you to have your questions ready for the participants so that you can make them right after the video. And if you are following on Zoom, please follow the meeting and you can also ask your questions in the chat. So we're going with the video from Julian Medina of Colombia. Hello, my name is Alberto Medina Salgado, and I'm the president of the National Network of Artisanal Fishing in Colombia. We also are members of RIPAPE. We have many issues with the overexploitation of fishing areas. We have problems in the mangroves and large-scale fishing that is devastating the coral reefs. And we have many problems with big industries that have been displacing many communities, many fishing communities in Monosquillo and other areas in the Colombian Caribbean and the Pacific area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we've come to the section where we can begin a question and answer session and establish a dialogue so we can speak amongst each other. The best way to do this is via the chat. And Pam can help me read some of the questions that are being asked on the chat. I don't want to monopolize the microphone. I don't want to hoard the microphone, but Pam, do you have any questions that you can ask on Facebook? Probably he can do it in Portuguese if he wishes. Then
From
Hi,
Pescar to
Chihei.
Brazil, you want to ask a question in Portuguese? It's okay. You can go ahead and ask a question in Portuguese. Can you hear me? Yes, we can. Thank you so very much for the opportunity. I'm here invited by Flavio Longo. He's a great partner. I hope he recovers soon. We here face a lot of challenges in selling our product from artisanal fishing. There's lots of bureaucracy, and that can be important, but not for the small artisanal fisheries. This is why, in the end, many of us sell that at a very low price. We sell that to middlemen, and that really affects our income. My question more objectively is, here in the group, any successful experience in terms of public policies for the trade of these products? I think it is important that we share positive experiences so that we can bring them to Brazil. And at this moment, we can rebuild public policies, creating more opportunities for artisanal fisheries. Thank you very much.
yes. Nicholas, did you have any questions and notes about this? Or would you like to answer that question? And Nettleson, I think that you have raised your hand as well. Thank you very much, Pedro. According to what was asked, one of the purposes that we have in our network that we would like to transfer to the governments of Europe is the possibility of having cooperation projects for Latin America and to work on marketing we need to improve the marketing of their products. One of our experiences here in Europe that we have to take into consideration, there is the experience of what has already been done, what has been experienced and given. One thing that is important that is used widely in Portugal and Spain, and I know that it does exist in certain areas of other countries of the Americas, is the concentration of supply. That helps to channel the demand for the produce. The second item that I would like to talk about is also useful, this concentration for monitoring and traceability. And this monitoring and traceability helps to do away with illegal fishing. It's also very important to identify and differentiate our products, because we have small scale products which are based on craftsmanly work. And I talked about it at the beginning of our talk. We have a major capacity to differentiate our product. That is, we have high quality products. We have to brand our products, and this collective produce involves having a specific identity with the possibilities that we have today. We can identify them easily. We have experience doing that. We'd like to transmit our own experience. And third, in view of the world that we have today, which is a globalized world where any mobile phone can become a window open onto the world. We have the possibility to market our products online and to sell our product online, and that is possible. We have to prepare us for that. We have to work along that line, and we have to digitalize our work, enter the digital world. That is very important. We have a major amount of work to do, and that cooperation between Europe and Latin America can help on the subject of marketing our produce. And we will try to make that effort and transfer this knowledge to those of you who are in the network, and so we can ensure quality of our produce. And that is what I had to say about marketing and transferring knowledge. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Zoila, Gabriela, who would like to add something to what has already been said? Gabriela, you have the floor. Yes, what the president said, he's absolutely right. It's a problem that occurs in the entire region. That is the problem of marketing. We would like to tell you that we have certain small-scale fisheries that are trying to obtain the certification. That is the Green Seal certification. And to make sure that small-scale fisheries can obtain that certification and market that Green Seal. But that costs money. We have had funding from the WW that has helped us, but in itself, we have to focus on finding persons who can help us to ensure that lobbying at the international level so that our produce can be exported to other countries, because it doesn't come from a boat that comes from badly managed produce. We're talking about something selective and something that is high quality that will encourage consumers to buy that. We have to deal with the problem of capacity building of the organizations and integrating independent fisher persons into associations in order to strengthen them. But this goes hand in hand with a mechanism that benefits our small-scale fishers, for example, Social Security, giving them opportunities to upgrade their fishing. You talk about the ocean, but they don't say anything about how they can save the sea and to preserve the sea, conserve the sea. But for example, I talk about a boat, and I have to have alternatives and measures. In my country, there is no aquaculture, but we need economic support, because if you want to do fish farming in the sea, you need several $1 million. So all of this has to go hand in hand with help, with funding. For example, debt swapping, or help in terms, I declare today that there is a sea reserve, a maritime reserve in the Galapagos. Yes, the government signed an agreement and said, we have a regulation. But what happens to small scale fisheries when you're talking about 30 million? Is any money going to the small scale fishing? All the money goes to research, but nothing goes to us. So this type of action has to be equally distributed. We need to be attending these international forums so that we can tell them what we need. What is Europe doing? What is the USA doing? What are the more developed countries? What is the support that they will be able to give us so that we can improve? We have to talk about that, just in case that opportunity arises. Thank you very much, Gabriela. Edelson has raised his hand a few minutes ago. So thank you, Edelson. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. I speak from the south of Brazil. It's a region where we were able to approve a law that expanded beyond the 12 miles in addition to what we had. And with that, we were able to secure a good amount of fish. And I have two questions to whoever could answer. What's the role of public policies in this process of strengthening artisanal fishing, especially in regards to the issue of selling of the one first round that we had of President Lula? We had some investments in the construction of buildings, of structure for to support the cooperativism and the selling of the fishing product. And what we've seen is that due to the small scale of artisanal fishing and the fact that this involves small organizations, we have a difficulty of competing in the market in this level of production scale. And with that, we cannot have a logistic planning. So we had situations in which the fisherwomen would receive the fishing product and they couldn't deliver because that same week they couldn't capture enough. And so this low scale ends up causes the cost to go up, the production cost at the end. And one issue that we faced, that we discussed, I think that's my second question, is that what's the role? How do you see the issue of subsidies to those structures in artisanal fishing? We have a reality in Brazil. Industrial fishing, for example, has subsidies, and also trawling or dragging fishing has subsidies. Banks and the agribusiness, this is all subsidized. And when we talk about artisanal fishing, everybody says, well, the fisher people, they need to have autonomy. So it's really a contradiction. So I would like to know your opinion about that. And one third question, if I can, how do you see the role of the youth in this process? Because at least in Brazil, we have a very strong presence of the youth, and involvement in the affirmative policies of access to the university, to education. So we have this high technical capacity in communities. And here in Brazil, this is being underutilized still. Thank you very much.
Venice. There are three speakers that have questions. There are three questions that out. So Hector, would you like to take the floor?
I will talk about the youth because I've gone through this process of being a young fisherman. And one of the pathways for us is to start defending this differentiated education policy for the population, for fishermen, fisherwomen, and young people involved in fishing. And if we do that, we know this is just something that we are starting. And another thing is to have the young people, to organize them in a network. I cannot see a community anymore, or a group, or a region in this struggle individually. And because there's no doubt, just as some regions, some experiences that you have, for example, in the south of Brazil, can be very, very helpful to us here in the Northeast, and for sure, helping other people, other places as well in the world. So we should seek this education so then our kids and the youth, they can have access to this education that will be a transformative education. So then we can better take care of our environment, which is the coast and the fishing.
La pesca. Would someone like to speak about the topic of subsidies? Would someone like to answer the question about subsidies that was asked? No one? Jose, would you like to take the floor? Go ahead, Jose, you have the floor. Good afternoon. I am Jose Cachique. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Jose Cachique that I speak, it was Jose Flores. These are questions that are very broad. It's hard to answer them because they're quite wide-ranging. It's something that should be done by someone who's doing a PhD. And this is a matter that we have to ensure education for young people, to create interest and to do things well in the sea. We in Mexico, we have a national program to ensure capacity building of the fishing sector, and that could serve for others. As an example, it's a program that is helping fishing cooperatives to integrate young people into the work of fishing, and to make them understand how we can work with our cooperation, so they can understand how we can set up networks and how they can become responsible. We are all responsible, but you have to teach that responsibility. And the young person who wishes to start, we need to help him or her. We have to show them that it can be an activity that will be a heritage for future generations. What is important here is to train young people. And we know very well that we have no subsidies, but we do have the help of NGOs. That is what helps. Some do help more than others, but here in Mexico, there are associations and entities that are concerned about the fishing sector and are trying to help us to improve our working and living conditions. And so the topic of marketing, as our president Nicolas said, it is very important to have traceability to ensure access to markets, but also we need to have our certification because fisheries need their certification so that they can attract the consumers, and so we can market our produce with better opportunities. The market right now is not easy. In Mexico, we have an area which is the North Pacific. They already have a certification for their fisheries in that area. And they have branches in Asian countries where they can market their produce. But even with that, they have problems. What is most important is to have grassroots organizations to ensure traceability and to ensure wide marketing to ensure that customers will be attracted by our produce. Thank you. Yes, in this subject, it's a major question. It's a major issue. It's very interesting. These are basic questions, basic issues. What is missing here, it's true that there is a great need for infrastructure in many different areas. We have to be clear about that. We have to fight against the banditry, against the piracy. How are we going to obtain infrastructure if we have that sort of problem? There are many countries that have many economic troubles and difficulties to have even basic infrastructure or minimum support to the sector. And when there is support, it's always aimed at the industrial fisheries, the large-scale fisheries that have already large economic resources. But we're talking about the small and poor fishermen who work in the resorts. 40% of the fishing in the world is from small-scale fisheries. That's 40% of what is caught in the world, but we don't know how to ensure how to reach the consumer, and we have to work seriously to provide further information to ensure that sea produce is given to the consumers, because we're talking about high quality products that are good for your health, and sea fish and seafood and fish is very important for healthy food. And if they consume our products, they will become healthier. And you have to teach even children that they need to eat sea produce. And each region, we have different problems. When we want to, for example, integrate young people, we require them to obtain education, and also the problems of bureaucracy that are a major burden for the management of our fisheries. And integrating young people is too complicated, and they do not offer opportunities. But when we were children, we would always follow our parents. But now everything has changed because of labor risks, and there's so many problems that prevent young people from integrating fisheries. And we have to rethink all of this, work on all of these problems, and design a good program that can integrate young people, giving them opportunities so they can express their opinions and that they can also be part of the government. And that is very important, to give voice to these young people. That is of the utmost importance. Another problem that we have talked about, which is very complicated, we have to reorient the problem of subsidies. The fishing sector, we do not want to depend on help. We want to live on our work, but with the contributions of the resources that are needed that will enable us that in our lives as fisher persons and to make sure that our families have a decent life. We're talking about decency here, dignity. We have a problem here. Climate change is displacing the species, and there are invasive species. We have a major transformation of our ecosystems, and that is over the top. We need adapt ourselves, and we have to resolve problems that are surging very, very quickly. And we need economic support that can help families to continue with their livelihood. We do not want to depend on help, but we want to have decent work in decent conditions. And there are certain collectivities and organizations who talk about us that if the fishermen want to live, they need subsidies. That's not true. We do not want to live with subsidies. We want to have a decent living conditions and decent situation. Yes, this is a powerful way to finish our event and to transmit a message that all of us who are here, we can agree to build a community together to help reach our objective. We have 5 more minutes. I would like to take advantage of these 5 minutes to first of all thank very much all the organizers and the persons who have helped us with the interpreting. It is not easy to do interpreting, especially when we jump from one language to another. Would like to know what report will be issued. We have Ripape and Hob and all the networks that we have on our websites. We will be able to edit this webinar, and we will send it to you and make them available on our websites. I would like to thank all of the participants, especially the people who have taken time to record, have been able to record their videos and send them to us. And we would like to send you a video now to talk about this incredible initiative that was created in May last year in Ripape. And to say goodbye, I would like to send you now a video, and with that we will finish the event. So thank you all for your participation. Now please stay with us for a few seconds for the video. Nicolas, would you like to say a few words before we finish, before the video? Yes, I would like to say thank you to all of you for your participation, for being here. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. It's always too little time. We have to coordinate ourselves specifically, whether we want to talk about marketing, which is a very important issue. There are other important issues that we can focus on, talking about governance, for example, management, participatory management, talking with scientists, and talking with governments as well. That is management, and co-management deserves a specific webinar. We have to be able to talk about these different types of management because in the reserve areas that are being protected, where we work, require this co-management, participatory management, so that each one of us can have a voice at the forum and no one can come to impose themselves. I would like to say something that is very important. We have to deal with governments. This is a major opportunity. There's another one that is important. The organization promoted the network of small-scale fisheries. And this year, we have a measure to sign the World Agreement to make sure that if all of the organizations work on this agreement for sustainability, we can build a better future and a better world for the fishing sector. So thank you so much for this Ibero-American network. We will try to give the best of ourselves, and we would not be where we are without the women and the men such as you. And so thank you so much for good day, good evening. And now I would like to broadcast the video of our network. Please stay for a few seconds more to see our video. We contribute to food security and also to the mitigation of poverty and the durable use of resources. In Latin America and the Caribbean, the fishing sector generates more than 2.6 million. And 90% of these jobs help the fishing sector. The Ibero-American Network supports fishing persons in Latin America, Spain, and Portugal to improve their practices, increase their sustainability and resiliency. This is the International Year of Fishing and Small-Scale Aquaculture. The creation of the network reinforces the importance of small-scale fishing for our food security and our efforts to safeguard biodiversity. We have the Dominican Republic, Uruguay, Peru, who have joined us. So congratulations to them for having integrated our network. Uruguay, Dominican Republic, and Peru. So we will continue working. Thank you very much. Goodbye.